This is my Fantastic Four First Steps review. There will be spoilers in this video for the movie, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled, we're gonna talk about all the spoilers and go in detail for the film. So if you guys don't want spoilers, now's the time to click off the video and come back whenever you have seen the film. So before I get started, I'd like to tell you guys this awful thing that just happened. I was recently uploading my review on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's the first time I really wrote, I think actually second time I wrote a review. And I finally got all my thoughts together. I feel like I wrote everything down the way I want to word it. And I got everything out. And I ended it in a way that I really feel like expressed all my feelings in a non-spoiler way for the movie, and I was gonna post it with my rating, and then when I hit it, it said error and it logged me out. So I was like, I just went on there, I logged back in, and I posted my review. I posted my rating, and I didn't write a review that time. So anyways, that was a kind of bummer, but I want to get on here to do my review with spoilers so I can go in detail and discuss everything about the movie I want to talk about in more detail. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it and express your opinion. For me, I just got back and I have to say I really had a good time watching this movie. It really felt like a breath of fresh air to come out of theater having a great time, and definitely a movie I want to see again or willing to see again. So that's definitely a good sign. So I want to start off by saying I thought the way they started the movie was very clever. The way that they introduced this version of the Fantastic Four in the retro futuristic setting, they did it well, and it's just great to see how they set everything up. There was some pacing issues, but I feel like overall I had a good pace. It didn't bore me. It had a good run time for what they wanted to do, and it worked. And it left me wanting to see a lot more, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It is kind of disappointing, but I think that's the job of a good movie, is for you to want to see more. And they definitely did that. I want to talk about how they explained everything that's going on. Yes, this is a separate universe, and they did it in a great way by having them thrown into the story, right? They didn't just tell you, oh, this is what happened through text on the screen. They showed you in a way that was very, very intriguing. They had it set up where they were the Fantastic Four for 4 years, which is like, that's pretty good. Fantastic Four, this is their 4 years. They keep that 4 theme throughout the movie, which is good. And they had this talk show host talk about the Fantastic Four and how they've been around. They got their powers, and they actually showed that, but in a very conservative way. They showed you what you need to know. They showed you what happened, how they got the powers, and well, a little bit, and then they moved along the story. And once it got moving, it just boom, it took off. It was a very simple story, yet told so well. And I want to say, I think there's nothing wrong with telling a story that's simple. And actually, you know what, more I thought about it, and somebody mentioned this, it was a remake of the second Fantastic Four from the early 2000s, The Rise of the Silver Surfer, except done better and done with a Galactus that wasn't a damn cloud, and he was an actual being of grand status, and he was menacing, he was cool, he was very detailed, and he was everything that I wanted him to be, because he was what got me pretty excited to see it, and he definitely lived up to that, to my expectations. And also, I think it did leave me a little disappointed because I wanted to see more. I think they will definitely bring him back, and I knew that they had to end it in a way where it's like he had to go away for now because they're setting up Doctor Doom to be the main bad guy for at least the rest of this saga and Secret Wars. And I think they could bring Galactus back in Secret Wars or possibly the Mutant Saga. And I feel like they should definitely bring him back and keep him around for a while. I'd love to see him in the next phase with the Mutant Saga, and that would be epic if they could wrap things up with Galactus in that saga, which I think should be the final saga that should just end the MCU. As much as I've loved the MCU in the back and not just because it's like they had their peak and then they had a bunch of flops and now they're getting back on track, and with this one they really did a great job showcasing that they still can make good movies that are entertaining and that have characters that we love, and they introduced these characters very well in my opinion, and I actually can't wait to see what they do next. So that's a great first steps. So now I want to get into the four. I want to get into the cast. Pedro Pascal was great as Richards. They incorporated a lot of different storylines and different aspects of his character that worked really well. Being a father, being that very smart character, also has a lot of flaws, and they showed some of those flaws. And Johnny was awesome. Johnny was Johnny. They didn't mess him up, but they also gave him more to do. All the characters, like I said, they work very well together. They actually work as a team, because the Fantastic Four wouldn't be good if it wasn't a good chemistry between the four of them, and they didn't work together as a team, which they did a great job. Vanessa Kirby, she was great. There was a lot of talks about, is she gonna be the main lead, and they're just gonna have 4 scenes of her just being the lead and being in control, and it wasn't that way. It didn't play out that way. In the movie, she played her part just like everybody else, and they didn't one up each other. I do think Ben, the Thing, didn't get as much to do. He had some moments, and they showed the start of his story and part of him not coming to own how he is now, being the Thing, and looking back to his previous days when he looked like us. And then so they had a good start. They didn't really finish that arc with his character, but I'm assuming they're gonna try to do that in future movies, so we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, Galactus was very well used, and he brought the scale and the visual stunning parts, as well as the retro futuristic visuals were awesome. That world worked to make it that way. It really showed up on screen. I really enjoyed watching all the scenes with the flying car, and all that stuff was great. There was some issues, but overall I do think that the good in this film outshined the bad by a lot. And my biggest disappointment in the movie is it felt like they're building so much up, and you did see a lot of good stuff, and I loved a lot of what they were doing. I just didn't see enough, but I guess that's also a good thing, because a good movie wants you to leave wanting to see more and want to know what's going to happen next and get you excited, which it does. But at the same time, it also disappoints. I wish we would seen a lot more, but then I understand them keeping it in a shorter film and getting it started. It's called First Steps, so I do think they did a brilliant job of introducing this version of the Fantastic Four. It was a great first steps, and I want to talk about some of the standout moments now. Standout moments to me, I was really surprised. I touched on earlier, I think Johnny really, for me, was one of the biggest standouts. They all did a good job. Like I said, The Thing got the less to do, but he still was a good part of the film. He added a great energy to the movie. But there was one specific scene, that scene where Johnny, he figured out what the Silver Surfer, Shallow Ball, first off, that's her name, and he learned her native tongue, her language, and he confronted her and was like, hey, you know, I can speak your language. And she's like, how? And then he's like, you know, I done my research. He's not just a womanizer, a ladies lover, but he does have other qualities, and they really showed that he also cares so much about the team. And he might be a little wild, but I think they did a great job with him showing that he's just as important to the team as Reed, Sue, and The Thing. And there was a lot of times I loved in the movie where they'd be like, Johnny, go do your thing. They count on him to do business. He's powerful. He flies and controls flames. Like, dude, that guy is going to do some damage. So they did a great job with him. I think he was one of the standouts. Obviously, the dynamic between Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal was great. That family dynamic with their relationship and how they talk with the rest of the cast was really cool. And overall, I really had a good time with this film, and I will give it a 8.8 out of 10. I think it was really great. I had some time to really think about it, but as of right now, those are my thoughts. I do think it's the best movie out of the summer blockbusters. So let me know what you guys think. It's an 8.8. I had a great time. This is definitely a step in the right direction, and I hope we see a lot of this level of films moving forward. And as always, guys, Chino out.